Welcome back, everybody, to another Trust No One But Us after show of the X-Files new season. Oh man, I'm excited about this one. If
me too.
you aren't at home, you are dead. That's what it is. My name is Sean Stewart. Over here on the end of the table, we've got Miss Rachel Lane. How you doing?
I'm awesome because I just watched that awesome episode.
You just said the same thing last week.
Well, yeah, but it builds every week. Every week, I swear, it gets better and better.
It was like a different type of awesome.
Yeah, this was like I'm sitting there like laughing till my guts hurt episode.
Yeah. That was definitely not in short supply. All right, next to her, we've got a new guest to the table. Got Allie Smith. How's it going?
It's going good. That was a awesome episode.
We're all going to say the F word
Yep.
to describe the episode. How would you describe the episode? Let us know in the comments below. Censorship is not something we worry about. This episode 3 of season 10, we're calling it. I'm so glad they're not calling the miniseries a miniseries. I'm so glad they're calling it a season.
Or the X-Files revival. I saw some things calling it. I'm like, no, it's just the X-Files season 10. I don't care if it's like 16 years later. Yeah.
I mean, it's on IMDb as season 10.
Yeah.
So, and that's like the Bible of everything.
Exactly.
The Bible of television.
Yes.
Episode 3, Mulder and Scully meet the WereMonster. You know, I didn't think about it last week, but there was something to be said about not saying werewolf. Saying the WereMonster.
Yes, or were-lizard, as they actually said many times in the episode. But in the title, they left it purposefully vague.
What a good monster, though. What a great monster of the week. I just loved, everything from like the character design, like with the horns and the whole callback the whole entire time. How many eyes did he have? It's like
two eyes, three eyes, 1 eye. And when he's like, no, I don't have 3 eyes, but otherwise, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
That's totally on point. I from the first time we met that character was great. So let's talk about the opening scene. Let's talk about where we were introduced to the WereMonster.
The WereMonster. And Kumail Nanjiani.
Yep.
Who, to be honest, I was not sure exactly which episode he was going to appear in. I just knew that he was coming eventually, dressed in like a sheriff's outfit or a ranger outfit. So I was pleased to see him and, ready for his role. Because I really didn't... I've been purposely staying very spoiler-free, so I had no idea how he was going to be in the show exactly. So
X-Files brings back a lot of the same actors.
Right. But he's a new one. He's a fan. That's how he got on.
I see.
Yeah. He was exciting because he's kind of what like we aspire to be.
Right, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I also heard so much about this being such a comedy forward episode, and he's like, there are all these great comic actors in this show, and I'm like the poser on the panel today. Like, I used to watch the show like years ago, but I'm not like a super fan. Like, I can't like quote everything verbatim and like know all the characters and like actors, which is amazing. You're like the resident expert. But I was just like, we'll get into it, but like character after character after character, I'm just like, oh my God, there's that guy from Portlandia. There's that guy from Flight of the Conchords. There's that guy from Silicon Valley. You know what I mean? So he was one of them. That
atypical people that you wouldn't really expect to see on an X-Files episode for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and even down to the stoners.
Yes.
Well, the stoners, Sean's setting me up for this because he knows that I'm excited about it.
I didn't know this. Rachel knew this.
Yeah, no, immediately. I was like, oh my God, those stoners have literally been stoners in the X-Files before. Although in this episode, I would probably call them paint huffers, but they are credited as stoners, and they're also credited as stoners from War of the Coprophages. I'm never going to say that right, but that is the episode. It's the cockroach episode. People will remember it. But also what I specifically remembered them from was Quagmire, because there was a lot of Quagmire references in this. I have a bunch of them that I can throw out there, but I felt like that was an episode that they referenced several times, maybe more than any other episode in this one. And they were stoners in that as well. Like, they're just, I don't know if they're reusing them, as just like an Easter egg kind of thing, or if they're, obviously they are, but I also feel like maybe they're trying to imply that it really is the same two characters.
Right.
That just their life's purpose is to get stoned together in some form or another on the X-Files. Yeah.
I love it.
Because they have the same character name in every episode. They're stoner number 1, stoner number 2. Actually, I think the girl's character name has switched, but the guy has always been stoner.
Poor guys. Like, they get this awesome series role, and then they just have to put on their resume, Stoner.
Stoner.
Like,
Oh man,
no.
but
well,
honestly,
Tyler Labine is like, I mean, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Like he's been in like all kinds of comedy, like crazy stuff.
I
He's
didn't even know
hilarious.
that. To me, I was just like, it's the Stoners from the X-Files. In like 1995 and 1996 too. Like it was a long time ago, 20 years ago, and they look the same. I mean, so the same that I've never seen them in anything else, and I knew exactly who they were right away. I was so excited.
For me, like when I go back and like watch the old episodes, I'm like, hey, that's that guy from.
Yeah,
so I have like the opposite.
I do that
experience.
too. Now that like I definitely have like to an extent, I see people and I'm like, oh my god, they were in the X-Files. That's how I know them. But now I'll go back and like when I was rewatching season 9, it's like, oh my god, I really don't think I ever fully realized that like Jane Lynch and Aaron Paul were in this until they became what they are now. And now going back, I'm like, oh yeah, now I know them. But back then they weren't famous actors to recognize when they were in the X-Files.
Ooh, I feel a list show idea.
There might be.
Right?
Stay tuned on Undertow TV. I mean, this episode as a whole took a totally different tone, including a little bit of a role reversal between Scully and Mulder. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Expand on that for me.
Mulder was like much more of the cynic during this episode, and Scully was so much more the believer.
Yeah.
Mulder from the beginning was like, you know, it's the scene where he's throwing pencils at the poster, though I want to believe poster,
Like
which you
doubting.
said was a callback.
Yes, that's a callback
Another
to
Easter
Chinga. So, well, not with the poster, but when he throws pencils in the ceiling. And that's especially important to me because I got one of those pencils when I went on set.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got one of them
Oh
out
my
of the
God.
ceiling.
That's
Gillian Anderson's personal assistant climbed up on the chair and got a pencil down from the
so
ceiling
awesome.
and gave it to me and Elise, and we broke it in half and kept half.
Very
yeah.
cool.
So that scene.
Who got the sharp point?
who
got
I
the
think I
eraser?
did. I think I
Okay.
got the sharp point, and I think
All right.
Elise got the eraser.
Okay.
Well, he's definitely better at throwing those pencils. They even cut to the wide shot where you see David Duchovny actually do it, and he like throws
Which
it.
I'm
point
sure
on.
is
I was like, this is amazing.
I'm sure that's like the one time he succeeded and they had to put it in because there's there's so many bloopers of him from another episode where he throws papers in a trash can and he
keeps
misses
missing.
every time. Yeah.
Well, I choose to believe in
Okay.
David Duchovny's skill. But going back to my point, like they were like very different. Where he was like, this was explained by this, and this was just some people like having fun, and these people were just pulling a prank. And Scully's like, no, like sometimes the truth really is out there, and it's really just like I just loved that role reversal for like it was pretty much down to.
I think
first
that's
half of the episode.
I was going to say, I think that's something actually they've been kind of setting up since the first episode a little bit. And then they took a more comedic take on it with this episode. But it's funny because that's also, this episode was written and directed by Darren Morgan, who also did an episode called Clyde Bruckman's Final Repose, which is probably the most critically acclaimed episode of The X-Files ever. It was in season 3. And they take very much that role reversal in that episode as well, where Mulder, Scully kind of believes a little bit more, or she is more open to some of the stuff than Mulder is, and having psychic visions and stuff. And I don't know, I think that it was kind of a similar tone as that episode, and people love that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, so, I mean, speaking about Scully, we didn't see a lot of her this episode.
I know, that was my only complaint about the episode. There wasn't enough Scully. What we saw was fantastic, but I could have taken more Scully.
We saw her bodacious tatas.
Which is a rarity on that show. They never like to have Scully skin ever.
She is so lovely. I can't even take it.
God,
So
she's
talented.
We got Mulder and Scully skin this episode.
Yes,
with
we
Peeping
did.
Tom.
And that was another Easter egg in there. I don't know if you noticed when they showed Mulder sleeping, he was wearing like a
In the red thong.
tight
Yeah.
underwear. That is a callback to an episode called Dwayne Barry, where
Okay.
Mulder famously steps out of the pool in a red Speedo.
Nice.
I know
And
that
it is,
one.
yeah, it is famous to
Finally.
this day. When I went to X-Files trivia 2 weeks ago, my team name was Mulder's Red Speedo. It's very famous.
That's awesome.
Yes. So I noticed that little Easter egg in there too.
Yeah, there was a lot of Easter eggs. I mean, even when we came back from commercial that one time, and Mulder is like laying underneath the headstones.
Yep. 2 headstones of recognizable names. Well, Kim Manners is a very recognizable name to X-Files fans, of course. And his quote to "Let's kick it in the ass" is famous.
So for those that might not know, go ahead and explain who Jim Manners is.
Kim Manners.
sorry.
Kim Manners was a writer, director, producer on the old X-Files, and he passed away not too long after it ended of cancer. And Vince Gilligan worked very closely with him and dedicated an episode of Breaking Bad to him, and it was like one of the first huge losses in the X-Files family. And then the other headstone was I'm going to mess up the name already because I already forgot it, but I have it. Okay, it was Jack Hardy, I believe.
Yeah.
And I looked that up because I actually didn't know that name.
I did the same
Yeah.
thing.
Same thing, yeah.
And that was an assistant director?
Assistant director on the first movie?
The second movie. Yeah, the second
I
movie.
Want to Believe.
Who must have passed away last year, sadly.
Yeah, 2015 is what's said on the
so
headstone.
I don't know the details or anything, but I love that they pay, memoriam to their people, and like even the smaller people, like the assistant director, like that's awesome. I mean, they're loyal, and that means a lot to me. Sorry, I'm falling off my booster seat.
Rachel is really 5'10" in real life.
Yeah, no.
Wink, wink.
Rachel's really short and needs a booster seat, so if you see me adjusting, that's why.
Well, I wouldn't call it an Easter egg, but I definitely want to not miss the fact that Scully, when we did see her, we saw bodacious tatas, as Allie brought up, but she had a pretty hot little like fantasy sex scene in there. Like, what was that about?
That was
it was very tongue in cheek, though.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
No way that she would do it.
Yeah,
any
from
other
the
way.
second that scene started, we're like, okay, well, this is a fantasy scene.
Yeah.
And I loved his explanation of it too. Like, ever since I become human, I felt the need to lie about my sex life. Just the statements that he made about humans and what we're compelled to do and our flaws, and it was perfection. I mean, Darren Morgan, like, giving us the most hilarious episode with like the deepest, psychological undertones. Like, I love it. And that psychiatrist too, and what he implied about just human craziness, and that was amazing.
Yeah,
I mean,
people being like obsessed with phallus and like penetration and like having any WereMonster, wear whatever, have to be stabbed with something
and everyone
sharp,
being on antipsychotics.
Which I love that David Duchovny, Mulder, pulls out the pills and he's like, I found this. And then the psychiatrist was like, I don't think it worked very much. And he was like, well, why did you think that? Well, because he was a little too crazy.
Yeah, he was really crazy.
He was really crazy. Like, didn't work. As Mulder's leaving the scene, he's like popping one of the pills.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
He's actually a really big voice actor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
He was one of the. I was trying to look at him like, was he in an episode before? Because so many people were, but I didn't recognize him.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
He's one of those like
He had
big
a
like
great
X-Men, like every like Archer, like every all kinds of things.
Fun factoid that I didn't know that. So I can tell you every person who's been on the X-Files before, but if they haven't, I don't know what they did.
Yeah, you need to see their face.
Yeah. Also, the hotel manager on that note has been in 3 different episodes of the X-Files before this one and the second movie. Just FYI.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right, there's some credits for you.
Mhm. Yeah, they reused their actors. So
Yeah.
hire me, then reuse me.
There you
Cool.
go.
Perfect.
Okay.
Rachel's gonna shamelessly plug herself every episode.
Exactly.
In the midst of all the other
It's
episodes.
gonna work.
That's
It's
the
good.
ploy
I
in all
think it
this,
might.
actually. Yeah.
I think it might.
Yeah.
Well, talking about that hotel manager, just that hotel, like the mechanism of that he's got the hidden like hallways and the peeping
and
toms.
the jackalopes, though. That was the best part, that it was like jackalope
Yeah.
eyes. That was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Well, and then was Mulder looking through a fox mask?
Oh.
I feel like
Everybody pause this right now and go rewind the episode and watch, because I think
didn't notice
we're
that.
probably going to do that.
Yeah.
Because I want to know, like right now, look in the comments below to see if we found out if it was
That's
a fox
funny.
or not.
Yeah,
I
that
feel
would
like
be
he did.
ironic. He
I
probably
really-
did.
yeah.
They would do something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I
Because
just
there
didn't
was
notice.
there was a fox, there was like a
definitely
rabbit,
that's the jackalope. Yeah.
Was there a bear?
God, I don't know. The only thing that sticks out in my brain now is the jackalope, because he talked about it later and was
Yeah.
like, tell my dead friend that the jackalope doesn't exist.
Right.
That was
He's
funny.
like, no, it does.
Because it's like we're talking to a lizard man and we're talking about how a jackalope doesn't exist. Like, come on. I think we can open our mind here. If the lizard man exists, maybe the jackalope exists too in this universe.
In this universe
Yeah.
where Mulder cannot control his smartphone.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, Mulder.
Oh, Mulder, technology
is
is
he
not good for
becoming
you either.
geriatric? Is that what's happening to our characters?
He's a middle-aged man, as he had to assert in the first scene that he was in. But I like how Scully says the internet's not good for him. I guess technology
That
in
was pretty
general
funny.
is not good for him. Well, that was funny how he's like, oh, really? They don't shoot things out their eyes? Fact! Here's a lizard that does! That was pretty amazing.
Mulder and his newfangled contraptions.
Yeah.
I love
what,
that so
what's,
much.
What do you think there's more to come? Like, what do you think we're going to see more?
I want more selfies. I want Mulder selfies.
That
That
was pretty
selfie
good.
video was my favorite thing.
She was like, you got to turn that around.
Yeah.
The
And
camera
he's
was
like, no,
facing
but
the
look,
other way.
ready? There's blood. It squirted out its eyes, I think. I had blood in my eyes. Oh, some great moments there. Also, on that note, one of my favorite lines from the entire episode was when Scully said, "This is how I like my Mulder."
Yes.
Yeah.
It was funny because it sounds like something you say about like, this is how I like my steak, you know,
Right.
like medium rare.
Right.
So that I just the context it was in, but like I completely agree. I'm like, yes, this is how I like my Mulder too.
Mulder, I definitely think this was an episode that definitely let him shine, both comedically and like as a character. We got to see a lot of real out of him this episode. Like the back and forth between him and the character that played
Guy Man.
Guy Man.
Guy Man. Like that whole like 2 scene that they did was amazing. It lasted like 5 minutes. I felt like
And it was riveting.
Longer.
It lasted through a commercial break, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it did.
And I almost like, I was sitting there thinking, who else could pull this off on network TV these days?
Oh my God.
If this was like a brand new show and
Yeah.
like people would be like, you know, checking out whatever. But
Right.
he has this like whole backlog of all of these like amazing episodes of the X-Files and all these great fans and everybody's so into it. Everyone, you know, like yourself. And, and he took that moment to use this as a platform to really say something. And he's getting all existential and all like, you know, like, well, what is everything really for if you don't believe in anything? Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of amazing to watch it like 9 o'clock on TV.
Yeah.
That's like, I don't know, that gets me all philosophical. And
Yeah.
shit.
Oh no, I love it when they get
love it.
philosophical, especially when they do it with comedy.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's
Like, make it okay.
Yeah.
Like, this is an okay conversation to have.
Yeah.
Like, let's like get into this. It's cool. It doesn't have to be all like herky jerky camera moves on Modern Family, you know? Sorry, that
that's
was
true.
weird.
No,
Which was on right before.
So annoying.
true.
I don't get it. Everybody loves that show, but
I do love that show.
Well, for all
But
the
X-Files
Modern
is way
Family
better.
fans, please don't alienate
Yeah.
us when we talk about how, as Allie disagrees, awesome your show is.
I pretty much just don't like any herky jerky camera moves. So it doesn't
That's
matter how
fair.
awesome your show is.
That's fair. And
like it.
I noticed too that, like, you know, like for instance, I'm an actor, so I have to find scenes from TV shows and stuff that to perform at showcases, various things. And most scenes now, it's true, are like a minute or less. You can't have like a 3-minute long scene anymore on most shows. But the X-Files still,
They did
you
it.
know, yeah, they did it. And they did it well.
A+.
Well, I would love to see what the response is from you guys. What did you guys think about that scene as Rachel drops her earphones
I lost
right
my
out of her?
headphones. I'm
out
a
of
mess
her head?
today.
What did you guys think about that scene? Let us know in the comments below, or you can hit us up over on our Facebook group, which is, the link is in the description. It's real easy. Facebook.com/groups/trust no one but us. Rachel, you have anything to ask fans?
Yes. What do I have to ask the fans? Oh my God, I have so much. Okay, well, wait. Before I ask anything of the fans, can we talk about Daggoo?
Oh,
We can't let this episode end without talking about Daggoo.
well, maybe let them talk about Daggoo.
Okay, but I have to just say, oh my God, I love Daggoo so much. If Daggoo's not in another episode, I'm going to be heartbroken.
Would you have stolen Daggoo just like Scully?
Yes. I think Daggoo's even cuter than Queequeg was. And I loved Queequeg, but Queequeg was Scully's old dog, in case you don't know. But who got eaten by an alligator. Sad. But Daggoo I thought was even cuter and even more fun, and I love that name. And I love when Mulder says, when Guy Man is like, and then I saw him, and Mulder goes, Daggoo, in like this so over the top way that now I'm just gonna say that anytime anybody says something shocking to me, I'm just gonna say Daggoo. Like, I think that's gonna be a new thing. Anyway, what did you think of Daggoo? Do you think that we're gonna see him in more episodes? Because oh my God, I really hope that we do.
Put it in the comments below. Allie, what do you want to ask him? No pressure, no pressure.
I got nothing. Sorry.
I'll give you one.
Give me one.
Do you want to steal a pencil from the office? Put that in the comments below.
Of course.
All right, everybody. Until the next episode, episode 4. Rachel, do you know the title of it?
Yes, but oh my God, I have them all mixed up out of order. I think the next one is Babylon.
All right. If it's Babylon, we're gonna see you on Babylon. If not, we'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah, you know.
Talking about the new episode of The X-Files Season 10. So glad it's Season 10. Right here on Trust No One But Us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. And I think it's interesting because you have had the chance to watch it twice. You
Yeah.
watched it right after.
Right. On a different TV, which sounds weird, but I'm going to talk about that.
Go for it. Talk about it.
I do want to tell people, like, if you watched it, this sounds like so weird. If you watched it on an LED TV or what did you
Oh, you're
tell
so
me?
techie. Listen.
Yeah, I know. Weird. If you watch it on an LED TV, if you watch